Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Who taught you to hate the texture of your hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin to such extent that you bleach to get like the white man? Who taught you to hate the shape of your nose and the shape of your lips? Who taught you to hate yourself from the top of your head to the soles of your feet?
I love people as I meet them one by one. People are just wonderful as individuals. You see the whole...
My great aspiration, my greatest ambition is to be so good. Now, in that way, I'm tiresome, as I suppose, to live with, because I want to be a fantastic human being.
I am the greatest. We're not disputing that, Cassie, but how does Sonny Liston feel about it? He can't feel but one way, and let's take everything I say and like it. Because February the 25th, I'm going to take back my job. I'm the champ. He's no champ. He's a tramp.
When you see men fall, don't laugh. Learn. Learn. Because you're on your way up. And the things that tempt people to fall, you and I are not free from that temptation.
What up, peoples? Happy, what's this, Tuesday? I really wished it was Wednesday. I'm sorry. Peace and blessings, man. I hope all is well with everybody. It's good to be back. Shout outs to everybody in attendance. Shout out to Rob, Jason, everybody who tapped in with us yesterday. If you wasn't here, yeah, it was one of those shows, man. We really got it in. And I gotta take my hat off to that brother. He was cooking. He was absolutely cooking. Shout out to my writers, my poets, my content creators. I gotta give them their flowers as well. I'm about to bring up Sydney. Some of you are familiar with her, some of you aren't. But by the end of the stream, you should be. Let me get this out the way while I'm at it, because sometimes I tend to forget about this part. I don't need that one. Let me just bring this one up. Let me get this banner up here real quick. Just in case you got questions, comments, concerns. You might want to join a future show. Anything that you would like to see us discuss, you can reach me down here at the bottom of the screen. Miss Sydney, what's up? Talk to me.
I'm so bummed I missed the show yesterday. It was still cool that I got to watch my son's capoeira class, and it was really fun watching him do something that I had nothing to do with, like watching him be excited about something new that I have no exposure to myself. So he's doing pretty good. But anyway, my name is Sydney, and this is Denali. She usually hops in to hang out with me. But for those of you that don't know me, I have my bachelor's in psych, my master's in environmental education, and I just like to talk about things. I like to educate and just have discussions about things that happen around us. So also, I want to say that's a really cool hat.
Appreciate. I finally got my hair redid up, you know, so I'm a little bougie today. I'm trying to protect it, keep it fresh for as long as possible. I let it breathe yesterday, but today I'm just chilling. So yeah.
It's like North Africa desert kind of feel, like Egypt or Saudi Arabia or something over there.
Oh yeah, shout out to Robin. She has a few videos of her actually being out there. I think that's dope. I wouldn't mind visiting a pyramid or something like that, just to say I've done it. You know what I'm saying? That would be pretty dope. It would. Now, I have a video, and he's going to pretty much explain what's happening on his behalf. A quick summary: Diddy was absolved of 3 of 5 charges. He is awaiting sentencing for October. A lot of this, it just went over people's head because a lot of us thought that he was going to jail. A lot of people said, "Hey, it's not happening," because he knows too many things about people. So with Cassie getting on the stand and giving her take about the events that occurred while she was knowing him, I guess it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. Now he's still probably going to get some jail time, but it's not going to be life or nothing like that. So that's that part. But now we have this gentleman here who decided that he was going to speak up, seeing as how he felt as though Cassie brought up something in trial that included him. He wanted to keep it off of social media or out of media in general, but the cat's out of the bag. Now he is going to take her to court. So I will bring this up on the screen. Big screen. It's about 4 minutes. I'll let it run. Initial thoughts, all that.
So good morning. I am Dave, the man who has just sued Cassandra Ventura for damages involved in the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial. And I'm looking through social media and I see a lot of the women out there, particularly black women like myself, who choose to victim shame me and try to do everything they can to discredit me, because the truth is that the loss of the Sean Combs trial was a loss to the Me Too movement and to hating women like the women who are trying to insult me. So let me tell you something, you women, this is my story. I was paid by Cassie, Cassandra Ventura, for 8 years to be her male provider. I didn't have to be the best looking guy. I was the best in bed. And because I was the best in bed, guess what? I was given this arrangement. I was coerced. I was drugged. I was manipulated with promises of money and gifts for over a period of 8 years to continue to be this woman's provider at her expense and at the expense of Diddy. Now, at the time, legally, I didn't know my rights as well as I do now. I didn't create this conflict with Cassandra Ventura. She created it with me. She's the one who decided to bring up things that happened over 10 to 15 years ago to hold Sean Combs accountable for what was a partial truth. She's the person who introduced me to the U.S. Attorney's Office. She's the person who told the U.S. Attorney's Office about our relationship. So in essence, those out there who want to hate on me, who want to say that I'm attacking Cassie, you should realize the truth, that Cassandra Ventura, your idol, did this to herself. She exposed herself to liability when she got on the stand and decided to mention me as the male escort. That was a lie, people. Cassie had just woke up from sleeping 8 hours. Myself and Sean Combs were exhausted. We wanted to go home. Cassie's the one who forced that sexual encounter. People, she tells you that Sean Combs made her have sex on her menstrual cycle. I can't speak for anyone else but myself. But I know the one time that did happen, that Sean Combs was not drunken, intoxicated, hormonally imbalanced state due to her period, manipulated and forced herself on me during her menstrual cycle. And what I mean by that is I had no knowledge she was on her menstrual cycle because the room was completely dark. She manipulated the room. She manipulated the environment to get what she wanted, and then she totally got up like I was the one who should have been grateful. You're on your period. That's disgusting, and I deserved more respect than that. So by statute, by case law definition, Cassandra Ventura sexually assaulted me. I'm not looking to destroy Cassie. I've given Cassie more than a year to settle this before things got out of control. The problem is she's being supported by women like you who would choose to attack male victims instead of accept the truth, which is that a woman could have lied to get revenge on the ex-boyfriend who broke her heart and hurt her. It happens, people. They say hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and that's true. If you hurt some women, they will do everything in their power. If you hurt some men, they'll do everything in their power to hurt you. But I want to end this by saying this. Cassie did this to herself. They say he who sets out on the course of revenge should dig 2 graves. People, Cassie dug the grave that is Clayton Howard herself. Cassie got on the stand trying to destroy Diddy. She should have took her $20-30 million and walked into the sunset, people. She should have never gotten on the stand and created further liability for herself by telling more of the lie that she created to get this man sent to prison for his life. She made a mistake when she got on the stand, people. She made a mistake when she got on the stand and lied about the events with Clayton Howard. Clayton Howard is a victim of Cassandra Ventura. Clayton Howard didn't ask to be in a relationship with Cassandra Ventura. And affluent people don't engage in activities like that. So I might have had a client once a month. The truth is I was only a male escort for 2 years. I continued in the profession because Cassie and Diddy continued to pay me very well. And I was an ex-con. I needed money. I was trapped in the situation. I'll admit that. I didn't know what to do. But does that mean I should be victim shamed because the same thing that happened to women all the time happened to me as a man? No. And for those women out there, for you black women who choose to shame me as a black man for telling my truth, you should be ashamed of yourself. That's probably pretty much all I have to say. You will not see me too much in the media. I don't need the public to believe me. I just need a jury of my peers and 12 people to believe me in a court. And thanks to the testimony of Cassie during the trial of Sean Combs, I have that. Thank you for watching. Stop victim shaming. Thank you.
And there you have it.
I was reading some of the articles about them as well, and first thoughts, it definitely seems detailed enough to be true, enough of the information provided to make sense. And I definitely want to come back to the point that he made, that men can also be victims of these things. But yeah, it definitely indicates what kind of stuff was happening possibly at these parties, for that type of behavior to be so acceptable. Yeah, it's apparently one of the details in the article was that they showed some of these videos in the trial, and the jurors were like visibly bothered by what they were looking at. I also noted the fact that she said in the interview that she enjoyed having the videos to look back on because it's fun to rewatch everything. I'm like, that's a level of narcissism and egotism, like that's pretty weird. I wouldn't do that, but I don't know, to each their own, I guess.
Oh, there's so many layers to pull back the purpose for this is to address, well, two things that I specifically want to highlight. One is that men absolutely get abused and nobody cares. Secondly, Cassie isn't as innocent as people thought she was. So where do we start first? Do we go into the part where we're trying to decipher whether or not he's being truthful? Or is this something that he's coming up with because he feels like this is the opportunity to go after her for everything that has been put out there already? Now, let me go ahead. Ex-con just got out of jail. Something went wrong between then and all of this ruckus. Let me go ahead and see if I can get some coins out of this too. Or was he really a victim here? How do you really call it?
It's a good question. I first wanted to address an earlier question that you had asked, or one of the ideas that you brought up of whether or not he's being truthful. Like, obviously we can't know the actual official truth, but just judging by his body language, by his, like, he did show emotion in his eyes when he was explaining what was happening. And also the way that he worded his explanation. Because typically when somebody is lying and making something up, they're going to embellish a lot of the details, because the fallacy is that the more details you include, the more believable your story is, because then they'll be able to be like, oh yeah, if you weren't there, you couldn't have possibly known what the color of the curtains were, or like some random fact that they make up, because they'll usually pick things that people aren't going to remember, but they're trying to bolster their argument that what they're doing is telling the truth. So he was very matter of fact. He was very to the point. He didn't really go on about like, oh, well, she said this and she did that. And like, it was mostly things that were relevant to what he was discussing. So just from my own knowledge of lie detection, I'm fairly certain he was telling the truth. Not to mention her behavior, like her, just looking at her history and how she behaves and how she acts and talks and everything, she shows a lot of the signs of a female manipulator, and egoism, narcissism, and obviously she's associated with somebody else who also has the same problems. So I'm more inclined to believe his story as true. And then also, not to mention the unspoken truth that it takes a lot for men to come forward about stuff like that. I think it's very rare for men to make up accusations like that because of the stigma that's attached to admitting it in the first place. Like, if you're going to create a lie or a rumor, you're not going to pick something that makes you look bad in society's eyes, or at least the perceived bad. So I think the element that he is actually being upfront about it and being forward with what happened is also kind of indicative of his truthfulness. Granted, he could be just a master manipulator and could also be making that up for money or whatever. Or to get back at her. Maybe he's mad at her. There's always that possibility. But I think he's being truthful based on what he's showing.
One of my issues with it is whether or not you believe it or not, you can't automatically just brush it aside and pretend those words didn't just come out of his mouth. Because if a woman said the exact same thing, you're already putting handcuffs on the person.
There'd be a manhunt if they didn't know where he was.
Exactly my point. So it's like you're telling me clearly that you don't take it serious. I've read a number of comments underneath that post, and a lot of those, and let me put it this way, it was mostly women, mainly women, damn near, but a handful that believed them. The rest of them was like, "Oh, you suing her, but you ain't suing Diddy. You ain't going after him. We know he did something to you too. Why you ain't going after him? Why do you have all this smoke for her?" That irks my soul so much. Like, you would rather stick to this invisible sister code than to have empathy for someone that could have possibly gone through some extremely traumatic things. It's weird because society look at it like, oh, dudes just all they care about is sex anyway. So a woman throwing themselves on a guy is not something that we're going to look at and be like, oh, she's a monster, because that's all y'all care about. That's the perception that is given here. And that's not always the case. Now, he said that he gave her a year to kind of resolve this without going on screen with it. And if that's true, that gives me more reason to side with him just a little bit. But in the same breath, I'm like, you did kind of sign up for it. I mean, granted, you got out of jail, you might have been on hard times and all that. This he he said a lot, man. You don't have to be attractive. You can be ugly and still. And she didn't care. All it was about was sex for her, and he was good at that. So that's why she kept him around. And
The fact that even the husband was included in this whole situation.
that's a what people would do for money. I don't know how much he know about her, and if any of this that came out is brand new. But I don't know. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. I, I'm still trying to wrap my head around someone saying I'm a victim of a person that a lot of society looked at as she was going to be somebody. Some people didn't think she was going to be much of anything at all. But Cassie was semi-attractive. I mean, she had that one hit song. She was with Bad Boy Entertainment. But you didn't expect her to have that dark side to her. But I don't know. I know a lot of people are like, man, you a whole dude. You telling me a woman, you ain't. I know you're not telling me a woman raped you, bro, or she threatened you, or you were scared for your life.
His allegation was that they used drugs to lower his inhibitions and make him do things that he had already stated he didn't want to do. And so his whole thing was basically they were drugging me into doing the things that she wanted to see done to him without any consideration of his actual desires. Because he was not, he in his interview said that he was not interested in doing that stuff. I think he said at the beginning he didn't even know about the husband. And he also didn't want to be recorded, but she would record it anyways, saying like, oh, well, I want it for the future and whatever. And she recorded him over 20 times. And some of the times he didn't know that he was being recorded. So I think that's his whole issue, is like the privacy thing. And then also like, you were making me take things so you could get what you wanted. So even though it's not like rape by force, it's definitely through manipulation, through coercion. It is still in that sense. Because I think a lot of people tend to, if it's not violent, then it doesn't count. But people have to keep in mind that even if it's like somebody's drunk and somebody sleeps with them and they didn't want to, that's still what it is. Like, yes, they had a slightly larger part to play in the whole interaction, but it's still illegal to sleep with somebody if they don't want to sleep with you. So by definition, it is technically that. So yeah, it seems that the biggest problem for him was the fact that he wasn't interested in going as far as she did, and she did it anyways.
I'm really curious to see how they're going to prove it. So I guess
I mean, they have the videos.
Right. Which is another thing that makes me believe that he's telling the truth, because she went up there and pretty much got caught up in all types of contradictions. There was things that was said up there that had people looking at her completely different by the end of it all. That's why it's like, man, you really don't know these people like that. I keep telling y'all be up here worshiping and idolizing these folks. You don't really know what type of lifestyle they have. She done threatened to get people hurt and all types of stuff. Like,
it kind of brings up an interesting question from a legal standpoint. I do wonder if there will be some discussion around the fact that he was paid to do that. If they're like, oh, well, that waives your right to claim anything because you were paid. That this was a chosen, purposeful encounter, and so you're like liable for. But then that would kind of be a slippery slope to like prostitutes aren't able to be raped because they're workers. So I wonder if that's something that would come up at all. Because if they did make that claim, that would be very damaging for workers' safety and rights.
right. We paid you. So what are you talking about? Where do you draw the line? It's like, I don't think there's contracts here. NDAs, I don't see that. So how do you prove that the transaction between you and the other party didn't include these extra activities?
We're headed for a future where like anytime anyone wants to do anything, they're gonna have to sign like a contract. All right, this is what we're doing. These are the the positions. These are the acts that we'll be doing. Do we both sign off on this? All right, cool. They're gonna have to do contracts for relationships.
Dave Chappelle had a skit where he did something like that. and this was like 15 plus years ago. So at this point, I can see that happening. I wouldn't blame a single soul if they did it. Everybody out here suing for coughing or sneezing.
And women actually have like applications for boyfriends/husbands.
Oh, I've seen those long 2-page paragraphs explaining what disqualifies you and what qualifies you. Shit is ridiculous.
And then their ick lists.
Oh, that one is damn near endless. You can't have bow legs. You can't eat any sandwiches with the brown part on it. You gotta cut the crust off of it and all that goofy shit. Like, y'all be out here tripping with y'all requirements.
And they're like, you have to work. You also have to do all the yard work. You also have to do all the cleaning. You also have to take care of the kids half the time. You also have to cook dinner. I'm like, oh my God. So you do nothing. What are you living for then? Like, do you just sit on the couch all day looking at your phone? Is that it? Like, is that all this is to you? It's sad because women like her, like Cassie, are creating entitled women like we're getting, like the Kardashians and all of these like high life bitches, basically. the ones that just want to sit around and get things handed to them and have the luxury bags, the luxury jewelry, and go to all the cool places and the fancy bars and whatnot. Those are the types of people that are manipulating normal women into thinking that they need all that, and thinking that their worth is based on their appearance and their clothing and the amount of money they spent on the accessories that they're carrying around with them. And it's really damaging. Like, I really hope that she does not get away with this, because it's a damaging message to both women and men if somebody's allowed to get away with acting on a man against his own will. Like, I don't understand how. I mean, I guess it makes sense if you don't have like actual official evidence, because the law can have an obnoxious way of like, oh, even though like we technically have proof, we don't technically have physical proof, so we have to dismiss it because it doesn't like. And those types of not casualties, like the little things that like get in the way, they're always so irritating, especially when it's communities that are usually already mistreated, already not believed. Yeah, it's frustrating to think how this is going to come off towards women against men.
I made a post that said, "Are you not tired of the man versus woman argument?" I made a follow-up post saying, "This isn't a gender thing. This is a human thing." What y'all don't understand is men and women are both capable of activities such as described here. Y'all keep on trying to separate the two and make it appear as if it's a landslide when it comes to all of the transgressions that happen in the world, which is absolute bull. We both fuck up. We both sin. We both go into that dark place and play around with things that we shouldn't. But it's always men being highlighted for their portion while you go unscathed for yours. That's why I say it's not a gender thing. We both play a role in this. Cassie, to me, has to absolutely take some accountability here. How much of it is Diddy and how much of it is her? That's the question, right? Because y'all not gonna convince me that he plugged her into the matrix and then he restructured her entire way of looking at life, and then she just mimicked him. Nah.
It was a back and forth for sure, because first of all, he was already creating that environment with whatever he was doing. But for somebody to be drawn to a person like that, they already have to have malignant traits. So the fact that she was already okay with spending time with somebody like him indicates that there was something wrong with her too.
I believe that 1,000%. But see, I don't want to admit that y'all have those little wicked ways about yourself. We know better. You think that every single woman that has left this earth has gone to heaven? Or you must have done lost your mind. We go to hell just for not forgiving people. You can go to hell just for lying on someone and costing them their job. We ain't the final judge. We don't know what right and wrong is when it comes to handing out sentences. We just go off of these rules that we've established here on this earth that's supposed to protect and cover all of us from the bad guys, but our system is flawed as hell, extremely flawed. When you look at Cassie, I'm not talking about you specifically. When you look at Cassie, you see a woman who could fairly sing. You see fair skin. You see someone who doesn't look like she could be Jason Voorhees. She comes off as Mary Poppins, someone who has never harmed a fly. They hate insects. When you just look at women in general, you don't look at, unless they built like Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage, you're not looking at them like they're dangerous. You're not. But I think the most dangerous individuals work inwardly and not outwardly. You do more harm to someone internally than you do externally. With this particular situation, this is why I see the dude signed up for it. He wasn't expecting the extra that came with it. But who she was allowed him to continue to do it. Along the way, maybe he wanted to get out of it, and she threatened or used her position to coerce him to continue to stay in that cycle or that under that contract, whatever kind of contract they had. I think a lot of her, through being with Sean Combs, came out because he offered her a infrastructure where she could really become herself fully without judgment. You know how you get a certain type of friend group. I'll give you an example. I just finished watching a video on Instagram. These guys are playing Dungeons and Dragons, right? Now, growing up, people looked at those type of folks as nerds. They're uncool. They're not popular. Stone them, shun them, send them to the far ends of the cafeteria. Nobody want. That's how that was. In this video, these are men and women our age. They having a ceremony. They outside. They got their costumes on. They happy. They happy as can be. They anointed one person. He got promoted or something. They had their little lightsabers. They were in real character, and you could tell that they were having fun. Nobody was judging the other person about their fashion, about their popularity. You too big, you too small. It wasn't none of that. They just being them, and that was enough. I think that Sean Combs offered Cassidy. I say Cassidy. They put Cassie in a position where she could be herself, uninhibited. What's that saying that women always use? If you're not masculine and you're not leading and you're not a provider, I can't operate in my full femininity. I think that he allowed her to tap into parts of her that if anybody else knew about it, it would have been ugly. She would have got looked at like, oh, what the what?
Shame is a powerful tool.
Exactly. So I'm not putting all that on him. I'm not putting that all on him at all. He shares in it. I don't think he's innocent either. So let's get that out of the way. The only reason I believe he got away with those other three is because of people that are on those videos. He knows some stuff. He got some connections, and yeah, he might have got away with it, but he's not going to get away with it. As far as her and this situation with the brother, sir, you signed up for it. The only reason I gotta play devil's advocate because while I want to take it serious, I mean, men do get they get killed, they get unalive, they get stuck in situations where child support is constantly knocking on their door because of being forced into situations that everybody will say, "Come on, please, man, ain't no way you a dude, you can't get held down and forcefully uh ejaculate inside of someone's womb. That's impossible. You too strong to get locked in like. But that's why I say this shit right here, it's a lot. You stayed how long? You never once thought to leave this situation. You partook in it. Even the story about her being on her cycle and she didn't tell you about it. What? Slim was on some shit.
He said it was at least a couple months. It doesn't say specifically, but it says that so for a couple months it went on. She was recording me and I didn't want to be on the recording. But let's see. Oh, okay. It lasted for nearly a decade.
Yeah, I feel just like her. A whole decade. You I'm on the fence of saying, bro, you enjoyed that. Like you had fun with that, man. And
A whole decision. It was a
if
whole decision.
she just won $30 million. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and come after you too. I'm surprised more people ain't speaking up. This is my thing. You make a choice, you decide to embark on that and engage in that. You know the terms and conditions. Now, let me ask you a question. Do you think that this man went into this blinded, completely blind to anything that was going on there? People for years knew Diddy was not a heterosexual guy. Everybody always speculated that that man was a fun boy. When they brought up parties, if you brought up anything that had anything to do with a Diddy party, you knew somebody was going to say, "Oh, it got to be some homophobic stuff going on." There's definitely some weird little yeah. Nobody is going into that thinking that this is about to be like this clean, regular. I don't know.
I will say about the Stockholm syndrome, it is very unlikely to be that, because that requires both a lengthy, like, they have to be actually like not enslaved, like hidden away from the world, and like they have to be heavily reliant on that individual for their care and everything like that. It also usually involves some amount of like, or I guess not some amount, a heavy amount of manipulation and like convincing the person that they have to rely on that captor. So it's not, and also one of the features of Stockholm syndrome is the person has like an unusual attachment to that person, and he definitely does not seem very attached to her anymore. If he was like oogling after her and was like, "Oh, she did, I need to be with her," and blah blah blah, like maybe that would be Stockholm syndrome, but for the type of situation, it wouldn't really be that. That would be more of like a kidnap victim. Oh, Cassie, possibly, maybe, but she seemed too complicit in it to be Stockholm syndrome. Like there could be some element of mental manipulation of sorts, but I feel like it was more so she already had the underlying tendencies, and the situation just made it come out more. You know, like there's people that have certain personalities, and so they'll act like, you know, you have some people that go to clubs and they literally sit there at the bar drinking their drink. They might talk to people and then they go home. And then you have some people that go to the club and they immediately turn up and they're dancing on everybody. They're like, there's definitely a personality element to it where no matter if you're in the situation, everyone's going to have a different response, but it's going to be based on who they are as a person. And so the fact that she immediately got into that stuff really says what kind of person she was. Like if she, and in his case too, it could also kind of indicate something about him. Maybe he's not aware of his emotions, or like he's, as you said, he might have been enjoying it or something, because I the 10-year thing is really crazy to me, especially somebody who's experienced a lesser version of that type of experience. It happened maybe 3 or 4 times, and after that I refused to go back there. I would not talk to him. I would not go near him. I wanted nothing to do. And if you are actually being like done like that, I find it really hard to think of somebody just continuing on with it. Like, maybe it was the money that made him continue on with that or something, but I just find that really mind-boggling to think about somebody going through what they view as SA potentially, but continuing to do it for 10 years.
Damn, that's the problem right there. Y'all be wanting to be famous so bad. You want to taste that lifestyle until you get introduced to it, and then you understand that this is probably going over your head. These are deeper waters than you could have ever imagined. I did watch the making of the band. All the stories that you heard from people that Diddy used to work with, everybody said that he screwed them over, or like he wasn't the type of person that y'all think he is. I don't know, and I express this with great detail. If you started out innocent and you didn't know about a lot of this stuff, and you worked your way to that success, and then you eliminated all of the excess fat, you're clean going into the industry, or you're about to start doing some type of professional work in general, your hands are clean. If you don't have discernment, if you didn't have core principles and things that you stood on that would prohibit you from engaging in shit like this, you screwed. I, I don't name me one person in Hollywood or in the music industry that isn't corrupt or hasn't been affected by that lifestyle in some way.
I know there's one, but Anne Hathaway. She's stayed pretty chill and normal. There's a couple, but they usually stay out of the news. Like Owen Wilson is another one. Like, he's incredibly wholesome and just like a nice, kind person. Same with what's his face? He loves kids. He's a comedian. I forgot. But there are some, but they're usually the quiet ones. They're the ones that we don't really hear about. They're the ones that are like kind of in the background where we all recognize their faces, but we don't really know anything about them. It's of course, being wild pays. So the ones that are crazy and psycho and acting out and everything are the ones that get the most attention. Like, we don't see news stories or what do you call it? Like the tabloid shit on like, oh, look at these 2 celebrities having a down-to-earth wedding and raising their first baby. Like, look at them loving their child and going on a walk. Like, they don't do stuff like that. They show, hey, this celebrity was drunk off the ass and like went on a high-speed chase down the street. Let's watch them burn out. Let's watch them. Like, we all followed Lindsay Lohan's collapse. We all followed Michael Jackson's collapse. We all followed like all of these celebrities as they go through drugs, as they go through crazy phases and cut off their hair and rip off their clothes and like all sorts of wild stuff. And that's the stuff that gets remembered, that gets the views, that gets the attention. It's not the people just living ordinary, average lives. Like, I bet majority of people, if you ask them to name a celebrity, they're going to name somebody that's like in the news for crazy things. Maybe their favorite actor. But yeah, for the most part, we idolize the ones that are living the high life. If they live a mundane, normal life, it doesn't seem as like inspirational or interesting because, well, that's the way everyone else lives. So I think there's definitely a perception element, like how we view celebrities, how a lot of people put them on pedestals and see them as like the ultimate life. That is what you want to be. That is the lifestyle you want to live. And it's a deception because obviously it's mostly manufactured. The stuff that they show to us is mostly made up. I think it was either Lindsay Lohan or Miley Cyrus. One of them came out recently saying that the majority of their breakdown was manufactured because their social media team, whatever they're called, they were like, we need to get people looking at you again, like you're about to do these events or whatever, so like act up a bit. And this is not an isolated incident. Like, there are people that literally do scandals just for the views. They pretend they're pregnant, they pretend that they had a breakup, they pretend that they committed a crime or they actually committed a crime. So there's all sorts of stuff they're going to use for views. So I wouldn't be surprised if that element was present here.
Yeah. You gotta take this. Like, I look at these stories, these cases. It's a constant reminder to remain humble. It's a constant reminder that I need to consider, and I mean really consider, what I'm looking at, what I'm consuming, who I'm investing in, who's in my orbit constantly. Is this worth my pursuit of happiness? You know how you got two doors, but you don't know what's on the other side of it? Cassie before Diddy and all that, I really believe that she had already had her own personal experiences. They might not have been as extreme as this, but she wasn't coming into the industry, oh, woe is me, I'm a damsel in distress. She might have been green. That's a given. You don't know who you're working with. You got to get to know the people, producers, all that. You got to get a feel for how networking is, how you're supposed to dress, how you're supposed to be political in certain situations, and how you got to carry yourself under this umbrella. I can see that. I really believe that he just woke up a side of her that nobody knew she had. And some people like Meryl Streep, Jim Carrey, Eddie Murphy, Bernie Mac, rest in peace. They saw what was going on, but the difference between them and her, they understood something that she didn't.
two things. One, I wonder if she has a condition, like if she's a nympho or something. Also, it just dawned on me, if there's one, I wonder if there's the possibility that there have been multiple victims. It's just he was the only one that came forward.
That's why I'm like, if there's no way he's the last, because if I saw another interview that came out, and I don't even remember if this is the same dude or not, but there was another dude that was talking about how he was with his girlfriend and she called him because she wanted him to service her. He couldn't do it, so she asked him if he knew somebody that could replace or step in for him since he was busy. Was she a nympho? Maybe. She might just be. I didn't see none of the tapes. I wish I could have been a fly on that wall in that court.
I was gonna say, I don't know if you wish you could see the tapes. You just
I will put it this way. I don't want to see. I don't want to see none of the nudity and all that. But to see the text messages, to hear how she actually acted, it's different when you sit in the courtroom and they gotta pretend like they are professional. It's another thing when you're outside of that. You're in your own element. You're free to really let loose. The way they talking about, she was really wild, and the way he was talking, I mean, he was with her 10 years. 10 years. How do you know how much you did in 10 years?
I'm like, it at the age I am too, 10 years is like a mind-boggling long time. Like 10 years ago, I was still in college with my bachelor's. Like, I didn't have kids. I wasn't married. I hadn't even met my husband yet. I'm like, a lot happened in 10 years. And it's mine. Like, how do you not, if you're uncomfortable, like, how in 10 years does that not come up? Like, 10 months, maybe I could see it, because it's like, oh, it takes time for you to recognize that you're not happy, and it gives time for it to shift and whatever and be something not fun. But 10 years, that is a whole generation. Yeah.
Cassie is not innocent. I don't know if she's guilty 100% here. I'm curious to know exactly how they're going to proceed moving forward.
I mean, also, another thing, her own husband seems kind of subservient to her, I guess, just in the way that he talked about her and talked about the husband. It seemed like the husband was just kind of there and was just apparently watching. Like, he was there to watch his wife do the stuff with this person. So he was just kind of like a passive participant and not really doing anything. So I wonder if he's just kind of her what do you call it? What's the term? The hood ornament? Like, if he's just like there for her to, so she could say that she's married and has a husband or whatever, like has money and someone to exist alongside her, but doesn't really care.
Honestly, if this doesn't make people have some type of empathy, at least be open to the idea that there are guys out here that get put in places and positions where they could lose everything. All from manipulation, lies. You don't have to be throwing bullets and knives at someone all the time to accomplish something nefarious. You know what I'm saying? Drugging people and like that's crazy. Do I think do I think she's gonna go to jail? No. Do I think he's gonna get any money out of her? If the evidence supports his claims, maybe. I don't know how he's gonna be able to convince them that his services went beyond his services and there were things done that he didn't sign up for. Good luck with that.
My conspiracy theorist self was just like, what if they did this together? What if like he's fabricating the whole story and they're just doing this together so they can get money from the system or something? I don't know. It does make sense because it'd have to come from her. But yeah, just a random thought. I was like, could you imagine if they were like working together on this or something?
If I did a 5-minute video and said Cassie did it to me too, I mean, it's like shit. At this point, it's up in the air. But she already got her money. She won her case. She didn't get. Someone said that she was scorned and she was hurt, so she tried to get back at Diddy. I don't know how much I buy into that. I just think she was a willing participant. She went out there. She looked for guys to hook up with, to set her up with, and Diddy. She organized parties and she helped with all that shit just as much as the next one. Dude, 10 years, I'm with you on that. 10 months, I can kind of understand. Years, yeah, you enjoyed that lifestyle until you didn't. But that's just a theory, of course. Because a lot of people were dealing with Diddy and they ain't say nothing for years and years and years. So who's to say they telling the truth or lying? So my last question. Did she always have this in her? Matter of fact, what type of relationship her and her husband got?
Mm-hmm. That's what I was saying. Like I'm just going to watch her do this is that does not seem like a stable marriage thing to me. Like even when they portray it in the media, it's always like in the movies, they're always like, oh, we're doing this because we're getting bored with our marriage. We're trying to spice things up and whatever. Like I don't know if it's just because I've been lucky, but I feel like if you're actually with the right partner for you, you wouldn't necessarily have to bring someone else in to get what you need from your partner. Like, maybe that's just coming from my monogamous mind, but I just don't like, if the person's not giving you what you need from them, you either tell them what you need, or you like learn to accept that you're not going to get everything, or like maybe find a way to do it for yourself or something like that. I just don't see how a healthy marriage could involve bringing a truly healthy marriage could involve bringing another person into it, because traditionally that really only brings more problems. It causes jealousy, it causes resentment, it can cause one person to like start losing attraction for the other. Like, there's so many things, so many issues that can arise by introducing a third party to a relationship. And that's even trusting that the third party isn't going to try and like subvert the relationship and do things and stuff. So that alone is already a red flag. Like, the fact that she wanted to do this thing with her husband watching, and I definitely wonder who's the one that instigated it in the first place. Like, was he the one that was like, hey, I want to watch you do things with another dude? Or was it her, like, hey, I think this would be kinky or something if we do this, like, we should try this? Because that would also change how I feel about each person. Like, if he was the one that was like, hey, I want you to do this, I would see him as more of a complicit factor in this. But if she was the one that wanted to do that and he was just sitting in the background like a shadow, I would 100% think that he was castrated. I don't want to say the other term, but emasculated by her, because it does not scream alpha male behavior to just kind of sit in the corner while your wife is doing something with another dude. So yeah, I find that whole thing, but red flag.
Dude definitely was the boy. I think he there because he knew who Sean Combs was. So he shut the hell up, sat in the corner, allowed his wife to do her because the money was there. He sacrificed his manhood, his self-respect, knowingly, unknowingly. That's weird. I don't know no guy that's about to sign up for no stuff like that, willingly or voluntarily, about to sit there and watch your wife get plugged by a multitude of different people. Not happening.
Also, the accusing party said that she seemed more interested in watching the guys doing things. So he basically alluded that he also did things with the husband too. They didn't say it outright, but that's what I gathered, is that it was not just her either. She would also watch her husband do things with the guy, I guess.
If he was there for them Diddy parties, he definitely did something with some. Yeah, I'm convinced 100%. We'll see what happens. But my message: don't judge a book by its cover. You better start peeling layers back and really getting to know these people you're around. Especially if you green to life, you don't understand how folks move and manipulate and bend things to benefit them. If I ever got into the industry, I don't want to have no conversations with nobody. I'm not trying to go out on dates, dinners, none of that. Unless it's business related. And we're around cameras. I need everything documented. I'm not doing no private, no going to concerts, and nope. I stay with my small circle of people that I grew up with or I came up with. I ain't trying to branch out and bring other people in. Nope, good. And I ain't signing no contracts. You're not about to proposition me or none of that. Fitting because we signed. Oh, I can live without it. I'll be just fine. I don't need it. This generation right here though, they go crazy. 100. Everybody is on social media trying to be famous for something. Thoughts on this before we get up out of here, man? Oh, by the way, appreciate you for pulling up, bro. Appreciate you. All right. I agree.
We could talk. We could make that a whole episode. Missing third spaces.
I know. Yeah. Might have to jot that one down. Nah, but salute to you, bro. Salute to you. Salute to everybody who pulled up. We about to get up out of here. Wednesday around the corner. I'm ready for this week to be over with, to be honest with you. I'll be on watch, bro. You already know where I'm at, man. Definitely gotta get you up here. Definitely. All right, Sid, I'm gonna let you up out of here, man. Hey, to the people that are watching, give me a solid where is it?
Do we have a topic tomorrow?
What was that?
Do we have a topic tomorrow?
You sent me something.
Okay.
I gotta go back to it. I'm gonna set that up either when I get off tomorrow or before I call it a night.
All right, awesome.
All right. Y'all be easy, man. We up out of here. Enjoy your evening.